first video back, I figured I would do an updated Q&A and just talk to you guys a little bit. So yeah, my name's Sophia. I'm pretty much a full-time content creator, and I'm also a supervisor of a coffee shop, but I'm hoping to do more content this coming year than I'm doing that, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's get into the questions. I haven't even really looked at them. The first one is, what is your testimony? I actually have a whole video on this. It's like one of my first videos on my channel. It needs to be updated. I should do an updated testimony video. Maybe that'll be next. But essentially, I just went through a really abusive childhood. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad, well, both of them were really like drug abusers and all this stuff. My dad married someone that was also abusive. Like, it was just very, very toxic, very bad. And then my mom ended up dying when I was 16 due to the alcoholism. And I just went through a lot of grief and pain. And that's where Jesus comes in. I knew Jesus my whole life because of my grandparents. And I really just took a hold of that from the time I was very little, and then I got really serious about it actually right before my mom died when I was 15. And I've just been walking in it ever since. I do not think I could have survived the childhood I did without having just that faith that Jesus was gonna pull me out of it. And that's a very, very basic story. Cool part now though is I'm still, well, not still, I'm now, after 12 years of being absent from my dad and his wife, I am now back in a relationship with them, and it's awesome. And so just seeing the reconciliation that God has, just in what he's done in just my life, is just so, so beautiful, and so, like, such a representation of what the entire gospel is just reconciling us to himself. And so yeah, that's a little teeny tiny version of it. If you want the full one, the video is way back on my channel, and then I should film an updated one soon. It's actually a really good idea. So we're gonna do that. How have you been in your spiritual journey? Good, I think. I mean, I think like the last year to a year and a half has just been a big like test of my faith. I've seen a lot of stuff within the church that really hurt me. I've been really hurt by the church, especially in the last year. Doesn't mean I don't go to church or don't love it. I do. It's definitely like a mandate from God to have fellowship and like be in a local church, which I am. But it took me a while to want to be a part of one. And I feel like going through all those struggles with the church. I worked for one for a year, and it was just, maybe I can make a video about it. It was just a very, very toxic experience. And I just feel like the people that I worked with did not love like Jesus, and they hurt a lot of people in the process of trying to do something good. And while people did get saved, which is amazing, there was just a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with behind the scenes, and so it really changed a lot of my perspective on like the church as a whole. But not Jesus. And I feel like I grew so much in my vulnerability with the Lord, and also just in my life as a whole. After that, I started living by myself. I started going to a different local church, and that's been just awesome, literally amazing. Total flip of what I had just experienced. And I feel like I have really become myself the last year of my life. That's where, actually, do I have it near me? I do. I actually wrote this book. If you don't know, I just came out with a book, which was crazy. I didn't even mean to write a book. It just kind of all happened during that entire time of life just being really horrible, like with my work situation, all the stuff that was going on. I felt like the only way I could express my emotion was through poetry. And so I ended up writing just a lot. And there's some chapters in here explaining like what was going on, but yeah. This kind of sums up that whole thing and everything that I went through, and this is like my little baby. So good. So if you haven't gotten a copy, the link is in my bio on Instagram. I can also link it in the description. It's a quick read. It's like 93 pages, but I feel like this will help you get to know me a lot more. And hopefully, like, a way that I would assume most people are going to be reading it is like, do like a poem or two every time you get in the Word, or every time you go to do your devotionals, because then you can think about like, what does this make me feel? A lot of it is like learning how to be open to all the deep emotions that you're feeling, or like instead of running away from them, which is something that I did for so long. And so yeah, so this is meant to help with that, and just aid you in your healing journey in whatever whatever space your life is in currently, whatever season you're in, I think that this will meet you right there. So yeah, shameless plug for my book, which was not intentional. But yeah. Okay, how were you able to graduate high school early? If you don't know, I graduated high school at 16, and then I started college at Southeastern University directly after that. I was 17 at that point though. I was able to do that because my mom died when I was 16, and school was like a really big escape for me. So when that happened, I really just kind of threw myself into school more than I ever had before, and just started taking a ton of college classes. And so because of how much I had done in my sophomore year, I was able to graduate after that. And then I jumped into Southeastern, and I got my bachelor's done in 3 years just because I felt like 12 hours wasn't enough, and so I did 18. So that's why I graduated early from that as well. So I ended up getting my bachelor's at 19. I'm 21 now. I'm thinking about going back to get my master's, potentially in like creative writing or something like that. My bachelor's is in ministerial leadership with an emphasis on general Christian ministry, which was awesome. I loved all my classes, loved all the things that I've learned. I really think it helps me with my Instagram page a lot as well, just knowing so much about theology and having a passion for it and getting my degree in it was just really helpful. I don't think that I will use it in the workforce, so it would be nice to get a master's degree in something that I could, but honestly, I really want to just do content full-time, so it doesn't really matter either way. But I also am a big writer, obviously, so getting a master's in that would be super cool, but not a necessity. I'm just kind of bouncing it around in my head. What do Christian friendships look like for you? What about non-Christian friendships? This is definitely a difficult one because friends, especially recently, have just been few and far between. I feel like I'm in that weird in-between stage in life where like everybody my age is like on one extreme. It's like either they're married and having kids, or they are like out traveling the world by themselves. Like there's no like in between, and I feel like I'm kind of the in between. Like I live alone and I'm like working full-time and all that stuff, but I'm not married, I don't have kids. Like I just feel like it's hard to relate to people at this stage in life. And also I kind of live in a very obscure little town, so it's like hard to make new friends. The friends that I have made are the ones that work with me. And most are non-believers, which has honestly been a really good experience. I feel like I'm learning how to love like Jesus does. And just to like love people right where they're at and not be preachy and just kind of exist with them and show them what a life with Jesus should look like. So it's been a really, really cool experience. But I have a few really solid Christian friendships, but again, most live about an hour away from me, so it is hard for me to navigate that. Even the local church that I go to is 40 minutes away from me, so it's really hard to have those friendships. And I am used, like me and my boyfriend have been long distance, like medium distance, like 40 minutes to an hour and a half, our entire almost 4-year relationship. So like I'm used to making those long drives, but like financially I don't want to spend all the gas all the time to go out there and see people. So navigating friendships is just difficult. I also don't have a lot of time either. Like I'm working full-time and also doing content full-time. So it's just like, that's why YouTube gets hard, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to film this. So I'm really, really hoping that this is the year that I start to do content full-time, because that will also give me more time to go see friends and rest a little bit more than I'm giving myself the time to do so right now, just because I do live by myself, which is incredibly financially taxing. And I feel like I've learned a lot, but it's also really stressful at times. And so friendships just kind of, I do what I can. I feel like a majority of the time that I actually get to go rest is like if I travel or go on vacation. I have like a few trips coming up, one to see my like middle and high school best friend. She lives in Virginia, so I'm gonna go see her at the end of February. And then I always do a yearly road trip with one of my other friends, and we're gonna go to Alabama this year. So that's happening in March. So I'm really trying to prioritize those things because financially I can plan ahead for those. I just feel like friendships have been so hard. And it's just something, especially living alone, I have had to battle like feeling lonely or feeling like I'm by myself a lot. But I also think I've grown a lot through it. And this is the only time ever that I'll get to live by myself again and just experience life the way that I'm experiencing it currently. So I'm really, really thankful. And yeah, friendships are weird. So I've been praying about it. I've been really asking the Lord for like more Christian friendships, but also I don't necessarily have the time to give to them besides the ones that I already have. So I'm just kind of letting this season play out. Whatever happens, happens. But yeah. What do you do for work to support your lifestyle? I pretty much answered this. I'm a supervisor of a coffee shop, which entails being a barista, entails doing all the ordering, entails all the scheduling, all of that stuff. And I'm there about 40 hours a week, 35 to 40. And because it is such early hours or sometimes late hours, like I am pretty tired. So on my off days, like I try to prioritize rest. And then I also do content pretty much full time as well. So anytime I'm not working, I'm filming, I'm editing, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, podcast, you name it, all the things that I've taken on, which is why I'm hoping that I can do this more this year, and take less time at the coffee shop. Even though I love it, this is definitely my passion and what I want to do full time forever. So I'm hoping that this is the year. Do you go to church every Sunday? Yes. Except for today. Today's a Sunday, and I worked last Sunday. So okay, no, I guess the answer to that is no. But I really have made it a priority this year to make sure that I'm going every week that I'm not working. The reason I didn't today is because I haven't been feeling very well, and I know my body needed the rest, and since it is 40 minutes away from me, I needed to just sleep in and give my body rest before I go into a whole nother work week. But that's the thing, like, listen to your body. Like, if God says rest, then rest. I don't think he's like, you shouldn't go to church today. But I used to be the total flip. Like, I would not just go to one church service, I would go to like 2 or 3 at the church that I worked at, and it was like almost a requirement, and it was way too much. And so I've been trying to like chill out a little bit. Like, if I need rest, I rest, but I go every Sunday that I'm not working. Because I work at a coffee shop, Sundays are sometimes hard to get off. But since I am in charge of the schedule now, I can pretty much give myself off all Sundays unless like I need to cover for somebody. So yes, the short answer is yes. And it is my priority to do so. We all get in a rut sometimes. What do you do to remind yourself who you are? Rest. I think that's the biggest thing, because like I've struggled with so much anxiety, like little depressive episodes here and there, but I really think like the number one thing that changes so much of it is resting and giving yourself a day to like figure out why the heck you're feeling the way you're feeling, and then to move forward. Like I get in a rut all the time about like different things, like not feeling like creating or not feeling like going to work, and like I think everybody feels that way at some point. And so I just think like the rest is really important. I think self-reflection is really important, like taking some time to like leave your phone somewhere and just sit there and spend time with God, yes, but I'm not talking about like getting in the word and like reading and studying. I'm talking about like just sitting there and asking God, like the verse that's like, create a clean heart within me, like anything that's not supposed to be there, get rid of it. That includes like being mean to yourself, that includes like insecurities, that includes, you know, getting in a rut and all the things, whatever. But usually it just means that you're burnt out and tired and you just need to rest a little bit, give yourself an extra day off. Yeah. And like for me, that's hard because financially I'm dependent on working as much as possible. But like I know that God will provide if he's asking me to rest. And so I'll take an extra day off or I'll do something along those lines. So that's my answer. What books of the Bible should I study if I'm struggling with faith? I would say go back to the basics and read John, just because it is such an inspirational story, but also like you get a refresh on who Jesus is and why like he's changed our lives and chosen us. So I would say John. Where's your podcast and what is it called? My podcast is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's called Spark Passion the Podcast. It's my goal to release 1 to 2 podcasts every month. And I started it probably about a year ago, or maybe a little bit more than a year ago. And it's been awesome. I really, really love it. I need to get some updated stuff, like an updated mic and all that stuff. But for now, it is what it is. But I film literally like behind me, like over there, there's this whole like podcast setup. So yeah, that's where I film. Tips on understanding the Old Testament. I actually have a podcast on this. I actually took a class on the entire Old Testament and learned so much, and I share so much in that podcast. I'm not going to share all those details here, but my number one tips for Bible study are always find a commentary, I use Enduring Word every single time I read the Bible. It helps so much. It breaks down every chapter, every verse, and just talks to you about like what's actually going on. And then also Bible Project has videos with like visuals on them that really help you break down like each book, each chapter, and like what each book is about, and getting that context really helps you read the Old Testament and has really helped me read the Old Testament. So I would start there. What is your most used emoji? I feel like this changes a lot. Let's see. That's actually so funny because it's normally not this at all, but right now, right now, it's the skull, and it's because my friends keep sending me funny things, so I just keep putting like the dead emoji, but that's so funny because I did not expect that at all. The second one is the heart in the flames, and then the third one is the like eyes that are smiling with like little tears, and then the other one is like the heart hands, which is so funny because one of those three is usually my top, so the skull being the top one just what really threw me. Favorite things to do in your free time? Read, write, anything creative really. I don't have a ton of free time, but in my free time I do like to do anything artistic, like textured art is really fun, and painting and drawing, but I would say a majority of the time I'm either reading or like catching up on a show that I need to catch up on. Just something that's gonna help my brain relax. Advice on overcoming depression and anxiety. If you're new here, then you probably don't know, but I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, specifically OCD. And with that comes some depressive episodes and stuff. That was over a year now that I was diagnosed with that, which makes a lot of sense. And a lot of it stems from, I also have PTSD from my childhood. So I got on anxiety medicine for that. Woo, big shock. Crazy of me. And honestly, it changed my life. I feel so much more balanced. I do not think it took away any of my like emotional health. I don't think that it did a lot of the things that a lot of people are afraid of. I actually had zero side effects besides like being car sick, and then it went away after a few months. I think it enhanced my personality, did not take it away at all. I still feel every single emotion. I don't feel numb, and I guess some medicines do make you feel that way. Mine just makes it so that like I still feel the anxiety, but I can manage it a lot better. I don't feel shut down and feeling like I can't handle it. But if you don't want to get on medicine, which medicine is really only for people who have that like chemical imbalance, go to counseling, like talk to somebody about it, and also just be really open with people. Like this is obviously a very common thing. Like people talk about this a lot. Be vulnerable about it, and over time, like the more you talk about it, the more you start to understand yourself, understand your emotions, you're going to feel better. And ask God, obviously, but I would really, really recommend getting a counselor, getting a therapist. Like they really help. What do you choose to write in the limited space when Bible journaling? I cannot talk today. I can show you. Here's an example of my Bible page, and I usually choose this based off of the notes on Enduring Word, like the things that I feel like I need to remember, the things that stuck out to me. Yeah, I really don't feel that I run out of space very often. How do I continue to show God to someone who wants nothing to do with him? Just keep living your life normally. Like, your life as a Christian is gonna look different than other people's lives. And so just keep like being super kind, being super loving, all the things that we're supposed to be, and pray for that person. Like there's really nothing else you can do, because nobody likes it when you try to shove something down their throat or like preach at them all the time. That is not gonna help anything. Just exist as a follower of Jesus and let him do what he does best. Like honestly, doing more than that is not your role. It's God's role. He's going to have them have the questions, have them ask you the questions, and you may be just someone who plants a little seed. It may be somebody in 10 years that they start asking the questions to, but you're still doing the part that God's given you to play. Any upbeat Christian music recommendations? I feel like my worship playlists have changed so much over the last 2 years. I listen to a lot less like Christian mainstream music than I used to. I just find a lot of it repetitive and honestly kind of cringy. Like you wouldn't catch me listening to Chris Tomlin. And it's not that those artists are bad, it's just not my style at all. And I think I just heard it so much growing up that I just like, no. So I stick to a lot more of like the indie, like low-key Christian artists, like Chris Renzema, Jervis Campbell. Jervis Campbell is my absolute favorite. He's a little bit smaller. He went on tour with Chris Renzema, and I went and saw them. I went and saw them for Chris Renzema, and I saw Jervis Campbell, and ever since then, I am obsessed. Like, I listen to him every day. And then you've got like John Mark Pantana, super good. Surfaces, which is actually not a Christian band. They have a lot of like upbeat songs that aren't Christian necessarily, but the guys in it are Christian. Specifically, I think his name is Forrest. His name is Forrest, and he actually just came out with a Christian song. He did, and it's really good and really upbeat. So yeah, those are some good recommendations. How do you stay consistent in reading the Bible? Because I work every day, I usually take my Bible to work and I do it on my break. Or if I didn't do it that day, I'll do it at night because my hours are usually early, so it's hard for me to get up like extra early to read the Bible. It doesn't have to look like perfect every time. Like, I normally will take my Bible to my car and read it on my break. That's how I stay consistent. So just find the little spots in your day where you could do it, where it just becomes a habit. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been working for me. Can you save all of your skincare, makeup, and beauty products to a highlight? Yes, I can, but I can tell you right now also what I use for those things. I won't like list every single product out, but for skincare, I use Coco Kind, which is all clean and natural, amazing. For a cleanser, I use Bioma, and I also use the Bioma Clarifying Serum to help with texture. And then another skincare product I use is Paula's Choice BHA Salicylic, I can't say it, acid, which is like a toner and exfoliant for your face. And I use that every day as well. So that's for skincare. And then for beauty products, makeup, I use kind of a mix of things. For like concealer and like powder and that stuff, I just use like Maybelline, L'Oreal, like e.l.f., like those products from Target, which are honestly like really good. I don't have a problem with those at all. I do use the L'Oreal like Lumi Glotion thing that like gives me a little bit of like a shine and like a color to my face because I am very pale. And then for highlight, I use the Ilia Liquid Highlight in the shade Nova. It's amazing. I use Rare Beauty bronzer and mascara. I use Makeup by Mario blush. But I really want to get a Rare Beauty blush as well, but they're always sold out of the colors that I want. And then I use Tower 28 as like a bronzer that I put over the Rare Beauty one just because it's really shiny and pretty. And then I use Tower 28 lip gloss. I use Glossier lip balm. These are just a ton of products. I'm like looking at them over here. Yeah, those are products that I use on like a regular basis. And then hair products, I use Day shampoo and conditioner, the signature shampoo and conditioner, the pink ones. I thought about getting the blue ones. I may give it a try. Do that. And then I also use the Day Prickly Pear hair oil, which changed the game. I was not gonna give it enough credit. Like, I was like, do I even need hair oil? Yes, I did. I use it like every day, probably every single day, maybe every other day, but I use it all the time. It has made my hair not frizzy at all. It makes it so much easier to style. I love it. I feel like my hair is so much healthier. I don't work with Day. Like, they're not paying me to say this. I love them. I'm big fans. I'm a big fan. Yeah. I really want to try their like styling cream. I have so many things I want to try but need to save the money. And then for styling my hair, I did pull the trigger and get the Shark Flex style. I did like Afterpay, so I'm paying for it over a few months because it's expensive, but it's nothing like the Dyson price. It is like actually affordable in comparison. I did it just to give it a try. I was like, okay, if this doesn't do what I want it to do, I'm gonna return it. Just because my hair has such an interesting texture. It's curly, like actually very curly in some parts and then straight in others. It's very weird. It's hard for me to style, but it holds curl so well. I did a blowout to my hair like 3 days ago, and it still looks like the blowout that I did. Like, it literally still looks like it. And that was with the Shark Flex style. It totally changed the game, made my entire getting ready process so much easier. Every time I take a shower, I just do a blowout with it. I got like the little air wrap tool, I got the like round brush tool, and it's on sale if you do, or like there's like a sale if you only pick 3 attachments, and that's all I needed, and so it makes it a little cheaper. If you guys want hair tutorials, makeup tutorials, anything like that, let me know, because I love doing that stuff. Especially recently, I've gotten more into makeup, gotten more into skincare, so if you want to see those routines on YouTube, let me know. Last question is, do you have a Bible reading plan? Honestly, what I normally do is I pick a book and I read a chapter to 2 chapters a day, and I study it. That's what I do. So right now I'm reading Joshua. It was my goal to get through every single book in the Bible in my last journaling Bible, which is over on my desk over there, the one that has carried me through this entire account, or my Instagram account, but I spilled water all over it in my bag and it got soaked and it was just kind of like crusty, so I ended up starting this one. Everybody asks where it's from. All of my Bibles are from Hosanna Revival. If I'm correct, this is the Marlowe theme and they're restocking it next month, so February. So keep your eyes out for that. Everybody wants this one. It's so nice. I like it so much better than the one I was using before. Even though the other one I was using is so pretty, it wasn't single column, so this is single column. And it gives me so much more room to write. I feel like my notes are way more concise, and it has just been so nice. And then my tabs are from the Daily Grace Co. You can also get them on Amazon. Everything that I talked about today, anything you see that you like around me is all from Amazon. It's all linked in my storefront. I have some fun little stuff in there if you want to check that out. But yeah. So next book, I'm not really sure. I try to do one from the old, one from the new, and then keep going from there. But yeah, so that's all the questions I'm gonna answer for today. If you have more questions for me, leave them in the comments. A few other ways that you can connect with me is I have a Patreon, which opens up a lot more benefits for you, meaning you get early access to YouTube videos, you get a physical print of my poems every month from my book, you get a Discord chat, close friends story on Instagram, lots of fun things. If you want to go check that out, I can link that in the description. I also have a TikTok and Instagram, a podcast, all the things I talked about earlier. I will put the links to all of those in the description. And yeah, I love you guys and I love hanging out with you, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet so that you can get the updates on the new videos and all of those things. But I love you guys and I'm so glad that you're here, and I will see you next time.